All right, guys, how we doing today? It's Tuesday, the 19th of March, and as we alternate, now today is a day where we're looking at traditional assets. So, having polled all the members, the winner here was Amazon. Now we've looked at Amazon in the last month or so, and given this price action here, it's worth a revisit here. Some interesting things happening now. As I've shown before here, when you have this kind of parabolic move, you'll find there's a real advantage in moving to log scale. Excuse me while I reset it here. So we get compression above and we expand below as a function of being in log scale. So we can see the waves here a little bit better. Well, a whole lot. Well, shit, compare the two, right? So you can see them a whole lot better here. So you don't lose the early wave separation. It's just an easier way to try and get a sense of where the subdivision might be found here. So I think we can make a fairly strong case for a 1-2. Then I do get an impulse here. So I have a motive wave that it is an impulse here as we don't overlap the 4 here. It's a bit of an odd shape. The 2 to the 4 symmetry is not great, but then we do get the retrace here. Now it's a skew. Your eye won't see it the same way because we're in log scale. So as we come down here, we do break golden zone. We hold well above the 786. So as a 1-2, very valid. So reasonable to be thinking 1-2, 1-2, and then where are we up here? Well, now as with that established, I'm going to come out of log scale and let's go down. That was a 3-day. You can see the same thing in a weekly. I just like the 3-day. So I think we want to work from so here's the '08 low after the financial meltdown. So coming off of this, I do have a solid 1-2 here, and this may help a little bit to go back into log scale. So here we are. Here's the '08 low. So yet again, this here, so it looks like an expanded flat into the 2 here. I can get 5 into the 1, 2. We've been through this count a couple of times. It's a little shaky here. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, an extension in the 5th. So in terms of measuring, as you would always want to do, just looking at the 1 to the 2, well, if I get that right on there, we just went a little beyond the 2-6-1-8. So for that's an extreme for the 3rd. So the 1-2, a little dicey. I think we can get the whole thing to complete here. This is again just looking for where you might anticipate it. That's about as far as you're likely to see. Well, have I seen them farther? Yeah, sure. But that's a reasonable spot to be looking for the 3rd. Then we get this sideways action. So because of what follows, I think we can lean more into this as the 4 at this degree. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's an extension somewhere. So where is it, right? So if it's not here, then it's got to be somewhere else. So if this is 1, 2, 3 up to the 2, 6, 1. Sideways for the 4, well, we're not, well, I shouldn't say it that way. It would appear that we are not finished yet. So from this 4, looks like the extension is going to be in the 5th. This 4 is the 15 low. Then coming out of this, yet again, 1, 2. So this looks fairly solid here. And a lot of what we're doing here is just trying to make sense of it. And so does this fit? Would that make sense? Well, here's the steepest retracement. At least here I go beyond the 50. I get between the 50 and the 618, right where I'm looking for it. Well, here's the shorthand, right? We know, as I will remind you, the negative 100 would be a shorthand for the 3rd. But it looks like there's more kick here because of the subdivision. So if this is 1, 2, and I'm going to have a big 3, so this would be yet again another. Let me come out of log scale so you can see that a little better. So if I pull from, if this is my 1, let's get that. And it's a little suspect as to we may have another expanded flat here. Well, look how far we've gone for the 3. So yet again, going just beyond, as we did with the prior 3, going just beyond the 2, 6, 1, 8. So these are. Well, it's Amazon, of course. These are extreme moves for the 3rd in the context of comparing against what the norms here. So to go beyond the 2, 6, 1, 8 would be an anomaly here. So then the retrace, this is our deepest retracement along the way into the 3rd. So reasonable here. It's going to be relatively shallow if I can get this hot. So if you're thinking 2 to the 3, come right here. Well, we get the 23 to the tick, to and through the algo target, so something happening on a larger degree. So if this is, now let's look at the whole thing. So if we're done here at 3, so let's come back. Can I even get it? So here's my 2, there's my 3. Can I get, does anything here make sense? So if I'm coming from this 2, get it right on there. All right, well here we're a little, let me just make sure I'm not too far off that. It's zoomed down here, not bad. Let me get it right on there. Okay, so if that's solid as the 2, now let me pull back out here and we'll take a look. So where are we looking for the 4? So between the 23 and 38. So the fact that we do a little front run here on the 38, you know, I feel better about this as a 4. Where are we now? So let's have a look here. So if this is our 4, which there's a reasonable count that would have the 4 deeper here, but 38 is partly because of this subdivision. So if we just, let's zoom in on this subdivision, see if we can make sense of it. Of course, it's going to resemble the S&P. So, but this, there's a little more clarity here. So we can get the 1, 2 pretty solid. You know, it looks like you'd have to go 3, 4, 5. So this is where it gets a little shaky. So you, at first glance, you're thinking, oh, is this? Man, let me even zoom in a little bit more. So it's open. There's a little bit of interpretation that's available here in terms of how you're reading this. So again, just like we would. So if that 1, 2 is correctly identified, well, once yet again, right? So everything in Amazon, we're going to extremes. So we're beyond the 2, 6, 1, 8 here again, just as we did at all the prior 3s. So you get a sense of how extreme the moves are here. Well, so could this be the 3? So here's the alternate. So you could have 4 here because there's an ABC. 5 is in here. So this kind of creates that alternate scenario for you. So if this is 3, 4, 5, well, we would have a completed impulse. So it certainly sets up as an A wave. So looking at the alternatives, now, can we get a B here? Yeah, probably. So that would give you an ABC here as a contender for the 4. Now, let me bring this down a little bit. So the subdivision's a little shaky because everything is just moving in straight lines here. So we do have this as the contender. Let me tighten this up here, bear with me. So if that's our 3, 4, we've gone to the 38. So the subdivision, I can make the subdivision play. Let's see, even if we go to a 4-hour, can I get, you know, it's a little shaky here. Where's your, if there's the 1, 2, you know, where it's tough to find it. Even if we go down to the hourly, can you get 5 out of that? Right, it's not easy to see it, right? So 1, 2, you're gonna have to. You feel a little bit like it's a fudge, like you're like, oh shit, that's gonna be inconvenient to my count if that doesn't finish down there. Well, if that's 1, 2, well, all you can do is start to lay it out and go, all right, looks like I've got a solid 1. Is this 3, 4? We got the extension in the 5. Well, you'd have to double check that just to see if it was a contender. We can see clearly the 5 would be longer. I don't think we can make that. I don't think we get, oh, I'll be damned, we do. Okay, we do. So this could be 3, 4, 5. Didn't look like it was long enough. But 3 is longer than 1, so we have the extension in the 5. So it looks like that can play there as a completed ABC. Now, also, let's also check the technicals here as we would. So if that's a completed A wave, so it leaves you a little, you're hanging a little bit here. So could they have used the lower pivot? That looks a little bit better. Still, you're denied the target down here. So is the fact that we hit the 38? It's hard to know. So what else could they have used? Anything here? Now that gets us closer, but now we're using the 786, so that's unlikely to be an out. Well, shit, you know, God knows how many algos are in here, but this is the algo that we can track, that we can identify. This leaves you hanging a little bit down here. So somewhat suspect of that. Now could just be the market so strong. So we look here, and well, now this is kind of interesting. So if I pull to the all the way from the dominant swing high to this retrace, well, look where we are. Right, so sitting right in the golden zone. So much like the S&P has done, we have all of this area up here where we have this prior resistance, as we're just tagging it down. Coincidentally, happens to be right in the golden zone. Or is it coincidental? Well, certainly based on what the market's doing, the broader market is doing today. Let me tighten that up. So we have, well, I guess there's one of two possibilities. Either it's by the rumor that we're going to have dovish Fed speak come out tomorrow, or they know something and they're just buying blindly, because you look at the S&P, it's just on a relentless tear here. So we do have the possibility here that there's more complexity in this correction. So we could end up relabeling into some sort of a combination, but right now I don't see any reason to do so. So it looks like we can go right into this, like we can get our subdivision here. So it looks like, can you go 1, 2? Yeah, looks like you'd have to go 3, 4. Looks like 5 is going in here. So what are we completing here? Well, if this 4 is solid, that's a reasonable contender here for a 1 wave, which is implying substantially higher prices. So if this is the 4 and we're just doing a 1, now we're going to get through the 65 today. Well, it wouldn't shock me. Market's so strong. So yeah, let's just check this here just real quick. So we look at this. Do we have a decent? The ABC is clear here. This is our deepest retracement. So this seems a reasonable candidate. Again, it looks very much like the S&P. So here's 50 to the tick. So here's the first algo, right? So boom, reaction, third target. Now they're pushing 2 and through fourth target. So this, again, another extreme. Now the subdivision gets a little dicier here. Let's look at it. Do we get the 2618 yet again? So from the proposed 1 to the 2, we don't quite make it this time. We're getting 200% of the 1. So here's 4, 5. So it could be here. We could have this. So this is your high probability zone. Yeah, it might be a little, making it more complicated. So here's the high probability zone for your third. So if you plug it there, thinking, oh, well, that's where I'm likely to find it, then we'd have to go 3, 4, 5. Well, let's think about that. So if this went 3, 4, 5. What have you completed here? Well, so you'd have a contender here. Well, let's just call it an impulse. A, B expanded flat into a C. Is that deep enough? Well, it doesn't look like it. So let's just check it first. So from the low, if I completed something here and I've done an A, B, C, well, we didn't quite make the 38. So then I'd look here and say, well, how do I look here coming 2 to the 3? 2 to the 3. Well, now we're 2 and through. So this looks a little more what you might anticipate. So this would be very shallow. So even if you look at, it's 38 to the tick. So I'm just looking at extensions here, which is another way to approach this, right? But we've just made the 50 here. So it's a little bit of a guesstimate as to where you're putting, because this we can complete something here, yet we haven't had a retracement beyond the 38. So this looks like 1, 2, 1, 2. So I'm more inclined to go over here because of the subdivision. So it looks like I can go 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's put that subdivision here. So let's move this over. So this kind of, just doing it on the fly. So this is how anyone going through this. So it looks like you go 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that gives me 3, 4, and that's a contender for the 5. Now let me change that degree. Let's go to something, just another color is all you're after. So you don't lose track of it, because it's easy to lose track. Shit, what is that attached to? So 1, 2, and then I've got a solid 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 3. So I think I'm clear here at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're completing the 3 here. So I come back to the original count. Now again, it's because of how far it goes. If this 1, 2, so that putting me there at just beyond the 200%, ABC into the 4, meaning I'd have, so an extension, pardon me, a diagonal. So we could have this if we're going A, B, C into a 1, if we're going to stay, let's come down to submicro and we'll go to green here. So if we're going to stay with if we're going to finish with a diagonal, well, so we'd have to be trading this. So this would have to be 1, 2. Can't be the other, so no other option. So this would have to be 1, 2. We're in the 3, 4, and 5. So let me bring those up a degree or two. Let's go to micro and let's go to blue. Okay, so if this is the 1, 2, Well, very deep for a 2, but we have an internal retracement. So because of the 3-wave subdivision and because it looks like I've got an ABC there, I'm inclined to think 1, 2. Again, all of these are very shallow. So dominant swing high to, pardon me, swing low to swing high. Let me tighten that up. 38. You know, again, front run on the 38. There's a little structure there that might be coming into play here. So prior resistance, you've got this as well. So you just always want to look left. Is there some structure here that's creating this zone here of demand? Right. So resistance, support. So 1, 2. Well, if that's 1, 2, we'd be looking for a relationship here. If we're going to go 1, 2, and this is the 3, which seems reasonable. Well, let's go up here as to where that could be going. Let's go up to, we'll go to minuet here. So if that's 1, 2, 3, ABC into the 4, well, we got a couple options here. We could have A, B, C. Boy, that's a tough one. So this, we could have A, B, oh, shit. Can we get that? Well, there's a little bit of a conundrum. So if you're done here in the 4, let's look at it. So the reason I hesitate here to go that, because look at what that would create for the length of time of the 4. So if this is ABC here, relative to this very abrupt, just the short, shallow 1, 2, well, pardon me, it wasn't necessarily shallow. We made an exact 50 here. But the length of time is so off that I think this fits better as so this would be our 4 here. So just comparing this ABC to just this tiny little drop that while it was technical, the length of time is so askew here if we were thinking ABC. So I lean more into this as the ABC, which is definitely here. And so we have the 3-wave structure. So, but that puts you, so you're left with a diagonal, which would make sense in the 5th. So if we're going to go 1, 2, it's the depth of this that causes the hesitation, because if it's ABC, that would make sense that we've gone that deep. It would still be valid. So it's really just going to be a matter of how far we go here. So if we, again, assuming we're going to get extremes, so for a diagonal, the 1 through the 2 pivot, where are we now? Where we're pushing up on the 1, 6, 1, 8 here, that would reasonable spot to look for. If it's going to stay as a diagonal, then of course we must, not optional, must overlap this 1. So the 2 is going to need to come down. So if that's going to be the case, well, this is not unreasonable. It's a little unusual here, but not unreasonable that we get the 1, 6, 1, 8 here. So do we have any geometry here that can help us? So if I'm just looking here, it looks like this is going to be mighty steep. So we're already past the upper parallel, and of course we could put the 200 and the 150 on there. But let's look again here. If I come back here looking for some help on the geometry. Well, let's see. This gives my 1. If that's my 2, I might check over here as well for the possibility that I have this incorrectly identified. Maybe, yeah. I mean, I don't hate that. So 1, 2. We'll have to see how far this goes as to where we are in the count, because this is open to interpretation. So it could be either the 4 is in, we're going up for the 5, or this is ABC of the 4, and we're just in the 1. That's actually more bullish. So if this is 1, 2, we're looking for the 3, 4. That 4 is going to need to come down, take over this 1. If this is ABC, then that's more bullish, so that would just mean the 4 is actually over here, and then we're just in the 1. So how do you tell? Well, there's no way to tell. So you just go through the exact same process that I just took you through. What's more likely? What fits the symmetry better? And I think that is the 4 is too much relative to that 2. Now, I could have it all wrong, but that's what I see here. So coming after that median line makes sense to me. So if this is 1, 2 for the 3 to get up here, we're gonna. Well, based on what we've been doing, we might go that high. It's Amazon. There's all norms are off here. There's no telling how high this could go. So where is there a trade here? So if I shut the hell up, we'll get to that. Okay. So 1, 2. Well, of course, I would not advise being a, I wouldn't be a buyer here knowing I've got a Fed announcement coming tomorrow. Now, shorter term, maybe, but right. So the premise of almost everything I teach is always we buy it when it's going down. We're looking to sell when it's going up. So is it on sale here? No, I would not say that. But you might put that in the context of the prior high, and maybe you think otherwise. Now, again, keep in mind that an algorithm does not give a shit. Algorithm just going to take swing high to swing low, and they're going to defend here in the golden zone. We get on the other side of that, you lose the sell side algo. All right, so there will be very little resistance here until we get a retracement. There is no more. We break that 65. There's no algorithmic pressure to sell it. So be interesting to see where this finishes on the day. I would be shocked if it didn't get through it as strong as the market looks, but you never know, right? So again, that's the wild card of where we are with the Fed with the Fed speak coming tomorrow, right? So market has already determined that no matter, I would propose to you the market has already determined, regardless of what they say, it's going to be interpreted as bullish. So the likelihood of us breaking here, I think, is very high. So thus, then you're thinking, well, why not buy it? Well, again, you're buying it in the golden zone. See, it's ballsy, right? I wouldn't do it. Frankly, I just wouldn't. I would wait. So if this is going to break, I'm going to feel a whole lot better about this move here. I want the 4 into the 5, right? So then I have a better idea of where I am. So here, shit, is this the 4? Is this the 4? Are we going to break the golden zone? Well, sure as hell looks like we're going to, but we haven't done it as of just yet. So are you going to buy, $3 in front of the 65? Well, we've been here before, right? So it's not what I would do, but it would be an aggressive move. So you're already anticipating that, as I just said, the market has already decided it's going to interpret whatever the Fed said is bullish. So either that, or they're just, it's just it's hard to call that a bull trap, right? So, but here, right, you can't just turn a blind eye. Oh, fuck it, the golden zone, I don't care, it's going to go higher. Again, I wouldn't suggest that. So why, right? If it's going to go if it's going to complete here, there will be some profit taking. There is high probability that you'll get some retracement, just so that we can complete with a motive wave here. Again, nothing is nothing is mandatory that the market do any one thing, but I would call this a low probability place to be a buyer. High probability, low probability, what am I trying to say? The risk reward here would be dangerous. So if it does pivot here, boy, so then just immediately you'd be looking for, maybe this, if this is 1, so let's say I have it wrong and the 4 is over here, and this is going to be 1, 2. Well, you're looking for 50% retracement of that. So if we can't get through and the market interprets it negatively tomorrow, which would surprise me, but shit, the market surprises me all the time. If it's going to go, if this is, so let me go back. If this is 1, 2, you're expecting 50% retracement. So you're buying right into where there's algorithms defending here, and you're setting yourself up to take 50% of that, to have that given back. Now, of course, nothing says we couldn't just make that retracement. So you make the 50 and then you go, and then it keeps going. But wouldn't you want to be a buyer when they're putting it on sale? So at the 50 as opposed to buying right into the golden zone? Now, no matter how bullish you are, if you're a trader, that's a questionable spot to be getting long. So now let's say it comes down. So if I do have it correctly identified here, and the 1, 2 and the 4 is in, and we're in the 1, 2, well, if we don't get through here and we retrace, then we're likely just in the 1, 2 of the third of the higher degree. So either way, if it's going to retrace, if it's going to go through it, it's going to retrace for the 4. If it's going to go up here and we're going to stall here ahead of the Fed, and then we're going to retrace, well, you're into the 3, 4, and 5 of the, well, in this case, because it's a diagonal, most likely to be a diagonal, but we can't confirm that yet. But if you're going to get an ABC into the 3rd, ABC into the 4th, and then go up for the 5, all of it suggests that the lower risk, higher reward setup is to buy the retrace, assuming it comes, and then look for the kick beyond the 6.5. Because once you get beyond it, right, there's no sell side algo there to fight you, right? They're defending here, Right? Again, they do not care. It doesn't care. The Elliott cap, it doesn't matter. Dominant swing, 65. There's an algorithm defending by selling here. Now, if it breaks, what do they do next? Right, they just take the next 50. So wherever it breaks, there'll be an algorithm sitting at the 50. There'll be a smaller one here at the next 50. So here I'm on a 1 hour. So let's say we break up, and we get. God damn it! Come here. And we push up. We get to the 1.6 and 1.8. Right. Then we start a retrace. That is the next time to be a buyer, because there'll be an algorithm behind you. Right. So essentially, we want to get behind them for that, rather than try and fight against this one on the assumption that this is going to fail. Okay, with this, just look left, right? So it doesn't mean it can't get through it, but it's been defended here previously. So for bulls, I'd approach with caution here. Again, my anticipation is that this is going to go up, but is that a smart trade? I'll let you draw your own conclusions there. So will there be an opportunity here before getting here? Most likely. So, again, choose your pitch. All right, guys, back to you later.